right. Well, welcome to Meytier Leader Speak. I am here with Tommy, head of recruiting at Juniper Square. I would love to start broad. Tell me a little bit about who you are and how you came to be where you are now.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I've been in recruiting now for over 11 years. Started out in agency recruiting, doing accounting and finance for large Fortune 100 companies down to small startups, and then had the opportunity to move to Austin, Texas, and join my first startup there, which was in fintech, and help them go through their Series C, grow to about 250 employees. And then through that was a reference for someone joining Juniper Square. And we had the really cool opportunity in 2020 to join when we were about 100 people or so. And we were sub 20 million in revenue and got to come in and help build out the recruiting function there early on with a small but mighty team. Before that, we outsourced all of our recruiting. So this was the opportunity to come in, really establish the foundation of what recruiting would look like, and be strategic partners to help us through the next couple of chapters of Juniper Square. And through the growth of Juniper Square, had the opportunity to keep on taking larger and larger roles. And about 2 years ago, stepped into the head of global recruiting there.
Very cool. And what kind of work are you doing right now? What are the main emerging areas you're seeing as a talent leader in financial services?
A lot going on right now. So a lot with AI, which I'm sure we'll talk more about here today, but really thinking about what can we leverage today to help the team be more efficient, drive more outcomes for the business. I think about AI as really amplifying their potential. Not about replacing jobs. So I want to make sure that everyone on my team is on the side of having the AI skills needed to help them now and in the future. But also when you think about AI, it's like, where is this going? And no one really knows where it's going. Yeah. So trying to stay ahead of those trends, all the different technology, and really thinking about how could this help us attract the top talent, close top talent more quickly. But then with my team, it frees them up the time to be more embedded in the business. Yeah. So over the last year, my team's been more embedded like HR business partners in the business, really understanding Juniper Square and where we are today, where we're going. But also in the industry. So we're here in New York this week, which is very exciting. And my team all had budget and time to go out and grab coffee with top talent and get to know them. Some of these things that in corporate recruiting, we've gotten really far away from. It takes me back to kind of my executive recruiting agency days. So really think about how do you leverage AI to be able to do that. I think one topic that's not being talked enough about is really what is that next generation of TA professionals going to look like. So that's something that I'm focused heavily on. So how do you upskill your team right now? How do you help them to better understand the business so they can take on more hats? Because I think AI will broaden the scope of recruiting. And then I do still a lot of our global expansion. So we're growing quite rapidly right now. We met you all about 2 years ago, right when I was stepping into my new role, and our expansion into India. And we're now already almost 300 people there. The company just hit 800 people this week, which has been a wild journey. We've done about 300 hires in the last 7 months alone.
Wow.
So it is very busy. So it's how do you make sure I'm removing all those roadblocks for the team to be able to do that. And then I do some of our executive hiring. So currently working with our CEO on a chief of staff role for him. So a lot of hats, never bored.
Never. Okay, that answer actually leads me to a separate question, which is that we always feel at Meytier that the greatest operational talent, greatest recruiters or software developers are people who really understand how their work fits into the business overall and how their work contributes to the business's bottom line. If you were a recruiter at a different company that isn't quite like Juniper Square, where they're not really helping recruiters embed themselves, how do you think talent can be doing that?
That's a really good question. I will say I've been spoiled at Juniper Square because we are both a finance and a tech company coming together. So you have kind of both of those personalities. And our co-founder and CEO, Alex, believes in everyone, our core values, think like an owner. And because of that, you have to be very transparent. So something he's been doing since the early days and still does today at 800 people is after every board meeting, he reads out the whole board deck to the company. Now, not every paragraph by paragraph, right? But everyone in the company understands what is top of mind for the board, what are the financials, what's going well in the business, what's not going well. So that has really built a foundation at Juniper Square for our employee base to really better understand the KPIs and inner workings of the financials of a business and operations. Now, not every company's like that. I realize I've been spoiled for almost 6 years being at Juniper Square. So my recommendation would really understand the core metrics of a tech company or a financial company. So what are the company OKRs? What is the revenue? What is CAR revenue versus GAAP revenue? What are the margins of the business? And these are things that you can just ask leaders around the company, right? Like I love when my team does virtual chats with cross-functional leaders and inquire about some of those. There's some great YouTube videos. I do a lot of podcasts. Like I love listening to podcasts around this. There's some great books that maybe we can link to this video that are helpful. But just start being really inquisitive around the operations of the company. What are the goals? When you hear the company OKRs, don't treat it like it's some list of goals in the coffee room or on the Confluence page. Like really dive in and ask your manager, ask your leaders, why are those the 3 to 4 things that are most critical to our company today? And then what can I do to help contribute to those? And, or how do you see my role contributing to those, and see where those conversations can take you?
Yeah, and leaders are more often than not like so happy to talk about the work that they do. Like they love those conversations. It's never an imposition, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It is such a difficult market for job seekers right now. It's like upheaval from AI, just general uncertainty. What do you think that job seekers can be doing to differentiate themselves?
Yeah, well, we've seen our application volume skyrocket.
Wow.
And a lot of people are utilizing AI agents to help them apply to a lot of jobs. And I can be empathetic with them. Like it is a very tough market right now. They're just trying to get in front of as many companies as possible. If you are going to do that, make sure you're pairing that with some really, really high quality outreach as well. And do your research. A lot of people now are just applying to everything. You reach out to them and they forget that they even applied to the company. Like as a recruiter, you can pick up on that. So really think about what are the top, maybe start with 5 companies that you're most excited about that are growing right now. Span your network. Who do you know? And do the networking, the referral thing. That's huge right now. Really tailor your resume to that. Do a really quality outreach to someone at the company. And start practicing your storytelling. I'm noticing that candidates really struggle right now to be able to tell their story. And some of that probably comes from anxiety or the stress or probably interviewing fatigue, but really get that down and make sure that you're talking about the qualitative and quantitative accomplishments that you've had. Don't just walk me through what your job description is. I want to really understand the impact that you had and what separates this recruiter from this other recruiter or this engineer from this other engineer, and make sure that you have a couple good bullet points that you want to highlight on those. I think that will go a long way. And then with a lot of companies still being remote, but now with more return to office, go to networking events. There are more and more going on. I know I see a ton here in New York, San Francisco, but even those who are maybe in the Midwest, like myself, there's a lot of different virtual events that you can attend to network and meet with people. Join different communities. I can speak more specifically to talent related ones, but I joined like the hire community most recently and have met a ton of great people that way and started connecting people in my network. So I think those are some really important ways to do it. So if you are going to do the AI, make sure you're pairing that with some like really mindful, high touch, high quality connections as well.
Yeah, and that leads perfectly into my next question, which is, what are the biggest challenges that fintechs are facing when hiring right now?
I mean, it's competitive. Which feels kind of surprising based on our last question. But like we do fund administration, kind of a niche area, but that has not slowed down in the last couple of years. It is very, very competitive right now. A lot of the fund admins are getting acquired and some of them are having to pay more to be able to get top talent. So I think that depending on what industry you're in, it kind of varies a little bit. But right now in fintech, I think it's competitive for niche talent that's more mid to senior level. Unfortunately, the ones being impacted the most are the more junior talent. And that's probably because of AI as well. Other challenges are companies are running more lean than ever before. And I think this is because they want to make sure they're hitting their core margins, their growth rates, et cetera, but they also don't know what AI is going to do. So they don't want to scale up, hire a bunch of people, and then they unlock some efficiency with AI over the next year. So because of that, I think talent is very concerned about what is work-life integration, what is your AI strategy, what's your roadmap. And I think some companies are struggling to be able to articulate that. So really make sure you understand where is your business today, where's it going, make sure you're very transparent with candidates on that. Because to get top talent, you got to go in depth on all of that right now, because it's very competitive, like I said. Other challenges I would say right now, anyone that is leaning into AI, everyone wants to go get AI engineers, and then implement a bunch of new tools like Cursor or Lovable. And so because of that, I think there's a struggle with like engineers right now as well. And so what we're seeing is the need to really articulate why are we using these tools right now? And then what does that mean for your job? Because everyone's hearing about the bigger companies, and I won't name them, who suddenly were like, if you're not using these tools, you're laid off, right? So everyone's just really anxious right now. And so I think with fintech growing quite rapidly right now, to attract the talent and overcome those obstacles, if you don't have a really strong story right now and you can't articulate where you are now and where you're going, you're going to have a really hard time landing those. If you want to go get like a true machine learning engineer, get ready to pay for it. There's a lot of champagne taste on a beer budget right now when it comes to that talent. And so if you really want to go get that talent, you really need to think about it as like a true investment to your business. But if that doesn't financially make sense for you right now, you have to think creatively. So it did not make sense for us to go and hire machine learning engineers that are competing with Anthropic or OpenAI right now. But what we did that was really unique and successful is we went and hired 8 AI engineering interns that are at the master's level that were engineers prior to that as well. So they had the deep technical expertise, they had the Python coding experience, but now they had all of this knowledge. Maybe they did an internship or a research project, and we were able to convert one of them and extend 3 of them with the goal of converting them when they graduate here in a few months. So like there's different ways that you can do that. So don't lose sight of the long term and kind of the long term play. I think so many people are thinking short term right now. But again, that all comes down to what's your strategy? What are your financials? What are you able to do as a business? Yeah.
And how is the influx of AI changing talent acquisition as a function? Do you see opportunities? Do you see risks?
It's changing. AI is changing talent acquisition rapidly. I think in different ways, depending on the size of the company and how leaned in the company is. But I remember, a couple of years ago, and this was becoming more and more of the hot topic, but even more so in the last year and a half since OpenAI has really blossomed, is this fear around AI replacing recruiters. And I'm not here today to say that it's not going to. Like, there will be fewer recruiter jobs, but I think there's also huge opportunity right now to really reshape what does this next generation of talent acquisition look like. So for me, as I mentioned earlier in the conversation, it's about amplifying my team's potential. It's about taking away those things that take hours and hours, like app review, sourcing, writing emails. Like, these things are really, really important, but they're very time consuming. How can you use AI and leverage that to save that time, get more embedded in the business, understand the business more, get in front of candidates, get out in the industry and understand what are the trends, what's happening right now, have conversations like we're having here today. So I think if it's done right and with clear intentions, it can actually help recruiters take on more, be more happy in their job. We've seen our engagement for my team stay really, really high because we're so focused on not replacing the human side of it, and how do we leverage AI to give the candidates the best experience as well. But where I think it's going over, let's call it the next 18 to 24 months, you're going to see more and more on sourcing. So the first areas that were really targeted on new emerging resources and tools was around sourcing candidates and scheduling. So I think we're going to see that kind of go to the next level. I think it's not where people think it is today. There's still a lot of training the model. It can still take a lot of extra clicks. It's not just here's the transcript of our intake meeting, run with it.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're too far off from that, which is really exciting. So I think we'll see more of leveraging tools like BrightHire to do your intake meeting or MetaView. They then take that video, that transcript, work with a tool that does AI sourcing. It can then take the core competencies of the role, the job description, the intake meeting notes, and then it can start recommending candidates for you. My team and I yesterday were kind of brainstorming what do we think AI could do over the next couple of years. And we're like, how cool could it be if you could take all of that data that I just talked about, but also take all of the quality of hire data, all the diversity data, and all of the performance management data, obviously confidential, not published by people, and have the AI make a recommendation of like, based on all of that, here's some of the talent that I think you're going to need. And here, by the way, you're really light on female talent. So here's actually some really strong female talent that recommends that. That's what the team needs right now. Or maybe to use another engineering example, maybe you have a lot of people who are really strong on Lovable, but it's like, here's some people that have experience with Cursor or other AI tools that you seem to be light on. Or in fund administration, maybe it's you have a bunch of people that have ERD experience. Do you actually need that? I don't think you do. Like AI probably is getting to the point where it's going to be able to be an advisor like that. But then that frees up my team to be able to advise on much bigger, more complex things that are going to drive business outcomes. So I think those are some of the things that are really exciting for me. I think if you look maybe 5 years out, most of the day-to-day recruiting will be done with AI. So someone applies, they do an AI agent interview. From there, they do some type of practical assessment. From there, maybe they do have a meet and greet with the recruiter to talk about some of the reasons why they want to work there, kind of more of a selling call. Compensation, kind of talk through that. Prep them for kind of their next interviews to make sure they feel supported. But then they go on to meet with the panel interview. Part of that panel might be AI agents. It doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be just hiring managers and cross-functional team members now. And then really the recruiter is going to be their closing. But what does the recruiter do in that world? They are going out, they're working on employer branding, they're embedded in the business like I've talked about quite a bit here today. They're helping to advise and say, here's all these data points we have. Here's my recommendation on who you should move forward. But now everyone gets a fair shot, right? So we said that when we implement an AI agent to do the first round interviews, which we'll likely do in the next quarter or so, everyone who applies to Juniper Square will get an interview. Some companies are doing it just by role, or they're having the applicants come in, do an initial filter, say, here's maybe the 40 that best align. We'll do the AI interview with them only. I don't think that's equitable, and we need to make sure we're being equitable. So I think there's a really cool opportunity here now for people to tell their story. So if you kind of go back to my advice earlier, telling your story is going to become more and more important because these tools will allow you to get that opportunity that maybe you wouldn't have gotten with just your application before, and that feeling of, you know, I apply to all these jobs and it goes into just a black hole and nothing happens. So those are some predictions. I have more, but I don't want to take up the whole call, but hopefully those are some fun ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think it's so much talk about AI generated resumes. Do you feel that that's a reality? Or you said you've seen a big influx. Is that completely AI generated resumes, or are more people just feeling empowered to use it?
I think probably a combo of both right now. I do think people are fully using it now. But the biggest thing in AI that everyone talks about is the importance of verify. So if you are going to fully do your resume with AI, you should. Like, I would encourage you to. But then verify it and then make sure you have those. The AI is not going to know all the quantifiable and qualitative accomplishments that you had. So take a moment, incorporate those, reword it. You can have the AI reword it for you, but make sure you're adding some of those personal touches that really represent you as the candidate. But I do think people should use it. And if I had someone that used it, I would be happy, but I would want to see all those kind of core things that really make them stand out versus just like anyone else that has the same experience that they have.
That has the same ChatGPT generated resume.
But I think as like a recruiter, I can't utilize recruiting to help me be more efficient and then judge a candidate for doing it.
Yeah.
So I actually empower people to do it. But again, we have to verify. AI cannot make any hiring decisions for us on our behalf. We have to be the ones that decide how to move forward someone. So same thing with the candidate. Make sure you take that extra time now, which is still going to be a lot of time savings compared to like word by word and how do I rewrite all of this to verify and still bring that personal touch to it.
Yeah. And I always ask this question in Leader Speak interviews, but I especially love when I get to ask somebody with a recruiting background, how do you hire? Like when you're looking for somebody to join your team, what do you look for in candidates?
Oh, I love this. I first look for mindset. Mindset is really important. So when I was actually at dinner with most of my team last night and was talking to them about what is the core attribute that I feel like has gotten us through all this change. Because I've been at Juniper Square since 2020. When you think about everything that's gone on in the industry, financial industry, tech industry, the world in the last 5 years, that's more than what some people had to deal with in a span of a whole 40-year career previously. We've had the pandemic, we've had the tech downturn, we've had the financial downturn, we've had COVID, like there's just so much going on. But the one thing that got my team through it was that growth mindset. First principles thinking. We don't just copy and paste playbooks. We always think about what is the new best way to do things. So I look for mindset first. I look for people who are resilient. I don't want to go hire just someone who maybe has an incredible resume and background, but everything was handed to them. I want the person that is really gritty and kind of carve their own path. And maybe along the way, they had some great opportunities brought to them, but they really have that drive, and they don't expect to just be handed anything. From there, I really look for people who are leaned into a team mindset. So we are not competitive with each other in my team. We're competitive with ourselves. And how can we be the best versions of ourselves and how can we up-level our whole team? And so that's really important to me. And then I probably will start going into some of the hard skills, right? But even with the hard skills, it's about the potential to learn it really quickly. Those that I've made the mistake, as many leaders have in the past, of hiring someone that has the exact skills I need right now, that I feel like we're just in such a tough spot that we need that gap filled, but overlook some of those other core areas like mindset, and it just never worked out. So I'd rather meet with someone who has the foundation and then can build on it versus like the expert to come in that doesn't have the right mindset, the right drive.
And Juniper Square is a beloved client of Meytier. What do you wish every Juniper Square applicant knew?
Oh, I wish every Juniper Square applicant really knew, and hopefully this comes through, but if it doesn't, how leaned in we are to our think like an owner value. That's something that really motivates me and has really kept me at Juniper Square. Everyone has the opportunity to drive huge impact. Juniper Square has grown a lot. We're over, like I said, 800 employees. We've surpassed $100 million in revenue, the $1 billion valuation. You can go on and on of that. Very proud of that. However, we are just getting started with our long-term potential and reaching our goal of making the private markets more accessible and more transparent. We're still just building the foundation. So what that means is our business is about to get a lot more complex. There's a lot more growth to do, and everyone has the opportunity to truly be a part of that. So I want people to come to Juniper Square that really are excited about thinking differently, who aren't afraid to kind of speak up and challenge and think again from first principles thinking, say, why are we doing this? Have we thought about this? And someone who really has that builder mentality, because we're still building, and I'm really excited about where we're going. But I think sometimes when companies start to hit the size that we're at, candidates sometimes are like, okay, this team's larger now. Do I really have the space to be able to have a voice at the table or drive impact? And my answer is absolutely yes at Juniper Square.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tommy.
Thank you for having me. This has been wonderful.
Thank you.